Now our next speaker is uh, Professor Bimalendra Kumar, who is going to talk on Theravada concept of Anatta. Professor Bimalendra Kumar has started his career as a lecturer in Department of Indo-Tibetan Studies, Vishwa Bharati University, Shantiniketan in 1991. He joined Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi as a lecturer in the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies, Faculty of Arts in 1998. At present, he is professor of Pali in the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies, BHU.
So, respected Professor Mahesh Devgarji, distinguished delegates coming from the different parts of the country, faculties of our Department of Pali, University of Pune, and my dear students. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to share my views related with some of the aspects which is the main theme of our Atma and Anatma in philosophy. I have been asked to present my thought related with the Theravada concept of Anatta. So, I am very much conscious before the scholars of epistemology and logics who have much criticized the views of Theravada concept of Buddhism. But anyhow, whatever I have been asked, I am going to present my views on the basis of the literature available in the canonical and non-canonical literature. I am going to present my paper, which is divided into three parts. In the first part of my paper, I will speak about that what were the problems or the troubles related with the thought Atmavad and how the problems were faced by the disciples of the Buddha at the time of the Buddha. In the second part of my paper, I have discussed that what is the personality of a man based upon the Theravada concept of Buddhism, and how this personality of a person is denied by the concept of no soul or Anatta based upon the canonical literature. What were the arguments of the Buddha related with the no soul or the Anatta, I have discussed later on, and lastly I have discussed that how Buddha had distanced himself from the theory of Anatta by establishing the law of dependent originations. So, these are the three parts. In the first part, I am going to what the problems were faced by the Buddha at the time of 6th century BC, or how the disciples of the Buddha were thinking about the views related with the Attvad. In the Madhyam Nikaya of there is a Sutta Mahatanha Khai Sutta, in which there is a monk named as Sati, and he says that this consciousness moves from one life to another life. There is no break of that, and there is a thinking of that. जो महातन्हा Khai Sutta, Sati Bhikkhu, he places a theory that this Biyanam Sandhati Sansarati Anayam, that our consciousness moves or runs from one existence to another existence without having any break. When the disciples of the Buddha were reported about this thing of Sati, Sati was brought to the Buddha, and the Buddha said that this is not whatever I am saying, that our consciousness is dependent on cause and conditions, and he says that Maya Biyanam Paticha Sampurnam. Again, in the Nidana Sanjukta of Sanjukta Nikaya, there is a Bhikkhu Moliya Phaguna, and he also says that and he puts a question to the Buddha that who consumes the nutriment of the consciousness. Buddha says that this is not a valid question. Whatever you are asking, this is a not a valid questions. And he says that whatever the nutriment consciousness, it is an expedient for the future existence, and it is acting as a cause or conditions for the further existence. Again, in the Nidana Sanjukta of Sanjukta Nikaya, there is a paribhajak named as Achelak Kassapa. He is a naked ascetic, and he says that whether suffering was done by oneself or by another, both by oneself or by another, or if it is arisen fortuitously, being made neither by oneself nor by another. The Buddha answers this question, all the questions, in a negative manner, and says that whosoever has this type of notion, it goes towards the Satsatvad or eternalism. And he says that the law of dependent originations regarding the, you can say, who acts and who receives the fruit of the action. Again, in the Brahmajala Sutta of the Dikha Nikaya, we are having the 62 types of wrong views, Michhaditti. And again, we are having the Satsatvad and Uchchedavad. And in Uchchedavad, Satsatvad, there are some questions which are being put by the persons at the time, and he says that Sasata atta cha loka cha bange kut artho esi katth ithito. Again, atta sandhavati sansaranti chavanti upajanti. That this soul takes birth and it dies. So this type of thinking we are also having in the Brahmajala Sutta. Again, in the Potpada Sutta of Dikha Nikaya, there are questions related with the 10 types of Abhyakat Pahiyo. I will speak just 10 types of Abhyakat Pahiyo, and how did the Buddha forbid his disciples not to go on these 10 types of questions. Sasato lokoti va, asato lokoti va, antava lokoti va, anantava lokoti va, tam jivam tam sariram, ayam jivam ayam sariram, hoti tathagato param marnati va, no hoti tathagato param marnati va, hoti cha na hoti tathagato param hoti tathagato, nev hoti na cha hoti tathagato param marnati va. These were the 10 types of questions which are available in the Potpada Sutta. And there are questions which were asked related with the Atta, that Potpada asks, he puts it that Sanya na kho bhante purisassa atta udahu anya sanya ayo atta. Again, Buddha asks Potpada that kampan tvam Potpada attanam pachesisiti. Potpada says that Olarikam खूब अहम भंतो अत्तानम पच्येमी रूपम चतु महाभूतानिकम कबलिकार आहार भक्खो ती. So these were the questions which were asked, you can say, in the Potpada Sutta related with the wrong notions related with the eternalism or Sasvatavada. Again, how did the Buddha answer these questions? I will come later on. So these were some of the wrong notions prevailing at the time of the Buddha. So I am coming to the next concept of the person, that how a personality is being considered in the Theravada Buddhism. As we know that man is a composition of a mind and matter. In another way classification, a man is the composition of Panchakhanda, Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhara Khanda, Beyond Khanda. In another way of classification, a man is a composition of Chitta Chetsik Rupa. So these were some of the classes of mind and matter. These are just like the two stones of a palm fruit. Both are dependent on each other. I will come each aspect of the Panchakhandhas later on. So, these Nam and Roop are dependent on each other, just like a soulless doll is being moved through a string. In the same manner, this Nāma-rūpa, without having any soul inside, it is moving or it is functioning in day-to-day our life. So, this is the concept we are going to discuss, that a man is a composition of Panchakhandhas. So, here we will discuss each khandhas in a very brief manner. So, here you will see that how a man is divided into Panchakhandhas. The first is in the again Nāma-rūpa, we are saying that a man is a composition of Nāma-rūpa. Here there is a question, what is Nama? In Dhammasangani there is a question, Tat Katmam Namam. In answer to this, it is said that Vedana Khando, Sanya Khando, Sankhar Khando, Biyān Khando, Asankata cha dhatu idam buchyati namam. Again, in the Sanjukta Nikaya, there is a definition of the Nama, that Vedana Khando, Sanya Khando, Chetana, Manasikar. These are the factors which are called as Nama. Again, there is another name, just Vedana, Sanya, Chetana, Fassu and Manasikar, idam buchyati namam. So, these are the 5 factors which called as Nama. Roop, again, Chattaro cha Mahabhuta, Chaturnam cha Mahabhutanam, Upada, idam buchyati Rupam. There are 4, Patvi, Apo, Tejo, Bayo. These are the basic material qualities. And there are 23 or 24 types of Upada or generated material qualities. These are making a personality of a being. Again, these in the sense of the Panchakhandhas, first come is the Rupa. Roop is the Rupatiti Rupam, that which changes itself at every moment. In the Nikayas, Rupa has been defined as Yam Kinchi Rupam, Atita Anagat Pachpannam va, Ajhattam va, Bahidda va, Olarikam va, Sukhmam va, Hinam va, Panditam va, Tad Ekajam Abhisahitva idam buchyati Rupam. So, here Roop, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhar and Biyān, they have been divided into the 5 classifications. First is called as temporal. Temporal has been divided into Atit Anagat Pachpannam va. Relative nature has been divided into Ajhattam one, Bahidda va, and qualitative nature has been defined as Olarikam of Sukhamam va, and quantitative that nature of the Roop, Vedana, Sanya, they have been discussed on the basis of the, you can say, Hin and Panit. And the lastly, nature of the distance, it has been Dure va, Santike va. So, this is the Roop that again Chattaro cha Mahabhuta, Chaturnam cha Mahabhutanam Upada idam buchyati sabbam Rupam. In the same way, feeling Vedana, Sa Vedeti Vedana, Vedana is that which is being perceived or which is being experienced by touching of any object. Again, first Pachaya Vedana or Anubhavan Lakhana Vedana. So, Vedana is that Vedana or feeling has the characteristics of experiencing the, you can say, objects. Again, in the Nikayas also feeling or Vedana has been Ya Kachi Vedana, Atita Nagat Pachpannam va, Ajhattam va, Bahidda va. In the same manner, it has been also defined. Again, Sanya is nothing but knowing the form and color of the object, that Nil Pita Adi Bhedena Sanjanati iti Sanya. So, this is the, you can say, Sanya. And again, Sanya, Sankhar and Vedana, these are the 52 types of psychic factors or the mental factors. And lastly, Biyān, that Alamban Chinteti ti Chittam, Bijanati ti Yatho, that it is in the sense of knowing the objects. This is called as Biyān. And in another way, Biyān is the name of 89 or 121 types of consciousness. So, this is the Biyān, the concepts of personality, whatever we are going to discuss. Now, how Buddha argued related with the concept of Anatta, we are going to discuss that Buddha's argument is of 2 types. First of all, in the first argument, he says that these Panchakhandhas do not have any characteristics of the soul or the Atma. In that way, he denies the concept of the soul. In the second argument, the Buddha says that this permanent self, that is the Atma, these 5 types of aggregates or the khandhas, they do not have any permanent entity inside, or Atma do not have the, you can say, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankar or beyond. In that way, he is arguing. In the Anatta Sutta of Mahabhagga, there is a discussions related with the Pancha Khandhas and how Buddha, first of all, he argues that how there is no Atma inside. In the first of all, he takes the Rupa Khanda and he says that this Rupa, Yam Kinchi Rupam, Atitanagata Pachpannam va, Jhatam va, Bahidha va, Olarikam va, Sukham va, Hinam va, Panitam va. Then he says that Netam Mama Neho Asmi Aham Asmim Na Mesu Attati Evam Etam Jatha Bhutam Sampayai Datthababam. That he says that we do not have any, you can say, Aham Asmim, that there is a concept of I-ness. Na Mesu Attati, there is no soul inside. Evam Etam Jatha Bhutam Sampayai Datthabam. So, it may be with the right understanding, it may be known or understood as they really are. Again, in the same way, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankar, beyond, he denies that there is no soul inside. Again, I will come in the next time. In the next slide, in the Mahanidana Sutta of the Dignikaya, he also puts an argument that self is the feeling Vedana. As we know that Vedana initially is of 3 types, Sukha Vedana, Dukha Vedana and Upekha Vedana. So, here feeling the self is to regard self as impermanent, blended of happiness and pain and liable to begin and end. So, this is the argument of the Buddha. Again, we are coming to the next slide, that how these 5 aggregates are related with the no at, that is the Anatta. These 5 elements, Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhar Khanda, Beyond Khanda, the individual person, though not in a substantial sense, self is simply a name given to the aggregate of the skandhas. There is no soul or permanent self residing in or behind the skandhas. There is no Atman. Again, in the Khanda, as we have seen that in the Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhar Khanda, Beyond Khanda, how there is no At, you can say. Buddha criticized all these views. Explaining the principle of Anatta, Buddha says that none of the Khandhas can be identified as At. All the phenomenal objects are non-self and devoid of permanence, resulting in the illusion of the identity of an individual at 2 consecutive moments. Now, in the Visuddhimagga, Acharya Buddha Ghosh says that this Nāma-rūpa, whenever we find or make an analysis of a personality, we do not find anything except Nāma-rūpa. I quote, the words living entity or ego are but a mode of expression for the presence of the 5 aggregates, but when we come to examine the elements one by one, we discover that in the absolute sense, there is no living entity there to form the basis for such figments as I am, or I, in other words, that in the absolute sense there is only Nāma-rūpa. Now, we are coming to the analogy of a chariot, how in the Sanjukta Nikaya, before the Vajiraya Bhikkhuni, the Buddha has given Jathai ang sambhara hoti hoti saddorot hoti evam khandesu hoti sattoti samutti. We are also having the same dialogue between the Acharya Nagasen and King Milinda in Milinda Pahiyo. Milind asks questions that Tom Kim Namosi, Aham Nagaseno Ayati, Na Hetapagalo Pulavti, Sankha Samaya Payati Boharo Namumattam Jadidam Nagaseno, Surseno, Birseno, Sihasenoti. That only for the sake of expression of calling any person, we call Nagasen, Sursen, Birsen, Suhusen, etc. But there is no any permanent entity in the personality of a being. Na hetapagalo upalabdhi. And there is a dialogue you might be aware that how how King Milind asked 32 parts of the body, that is it Nagasen from the head to the you can say feet, and he says no. Then again he says that Roop is Nagasen, Vedana is Nagasen, Sanya is Nagasen, Sankhara is Nagasen, or Beyond is Nagasen. Then again Acharya Nagasen puts questions that how did you come to this place, and then lastly that he gives an example that being a assemblage of the parts of the chariot makes the name of the chariot. In the same way, the 5 aggregates make a personality of a human being. जथाहि अंग संभारा होती होती सद्दौरत होती एवं खंदेसु होती सत्तोति समुत्ति. So here this is the analogy given by the, you can say, Buddha in the Sanjukta Nikaya. So just for the sake of giving, and now the question is that again in the Milinda Pahiyo you are having the who takes birth. Nāma-rūpam ca patisandhati. Then Acharya King Milinda asked that is it the same Nāma-rūpa? Nāma-rūpam ca patisandhati, is it the same name? Then Milinda says that imina Nāma-rūpena papakam or sobhukam kammam karoti ayam Nāma-rūpam upannam hoti. So based upon this Nama and Rupa, whether it is being done the moral actions or the immoral actions, the another name and form or mind and matter Nama-rūpa takes birth. So in that way it has been said. Again then there is a question being asked that is it the same or another one? Then he said, Nocha so nocha ayo, he is not the same person, not the different. And there are so many similes given in, like the butter or the lamp or the mango. The similes have been given in the Milinda Pahiyo, that he is the not the same person, neither different from the that persons. Walpole Rahul in the what Buddha taught, he has given an example of a man of 60 years, that he is not different from the person of the childhood, and he is not the same one. So he has given a very an example of that one. Now who takes birth, that is the, you can say, at the time of the birth, I have given that how this chuti chit, again maran chit, you can say, dying consciousness or death has been given so many names like machu, mar, yam, antak, marana. In another way, the death has been defined as the jivati indriyas upachedoti maranam, or you can say kal kalevaranam, or khandhanam nikhepoti maranam. So like there are so many givens, but what is that death which is, it is said that it is purely a psycho-ethical phenomena, intrinsically psychological and functioning ethical. In clear terms, it is arising of a consciousness known as Chuti Chit. It is arising of one of the 9 types of the consciousness. Again, there is a concept of Upadan Khandhas and the dependent originations. As we have seen that how Buddha argued the notions of the Atta with the law of dependent originations. And here also it is said that the 5 aggregates have been called the aggregates of the grasping or the clinging, Upadan Khandhas, because they represent the 5 things to which a person clings as his personality. In the first noble truth, we are also having the 8 kinds of the suffering, jati pi dukkha, jara pi dukkha, lastly sankhyatyena panchopadan khandhati dukkha. So here in brief, the grasping related with the 5 aggregates or a strong desire related with the 5 aggregates is called as panchopadan khandha. So it is specifically stated that these 5 aggregates of grasping constituting what may be called the personality are causally conditions. They are based upon the cause and condition, hetu and the pachay. The Buddha said that one who knows the reality of the patisamujpad or patisamujpanna never runs behind the past or the future periods and never doubts about the present, as was I in the past, what was I in the past, will I be in the future, what I am in at present, etc. Thus, the Buddha's theories of the Patisamujpad denied the possibility of any permanent substance or entity. Now, we are making an analysis of the 5 aggregates. The analysis of the 5 aggregates is in order to find out the conditions and causes of their existences and their functioning, which are involved in impermanence and suffering, so that path to their cessation may be discovered and followed. The analysis of the 5 aggregates makes it clear that these 5 aggregates are subject to arising and the ceasing, and they are mainly based upon the cause and condition, hetu and the pachay. Hence, they are subject to a state of suffering and a state of substanceless. To do this effectively, all the false views, micchaditthi, should be eliminated. Now, again the micchaditthi here related with the sasatvada, we have discussed the 10 abhyakat pahiyo, tam jivamam tam sariram, ayam jivamam ayam sariram. So, this type of false views may be eliminated or removed. So, for that we are having so many, you can say, process of removing the micchaditthi or the false views. In the Sabbasam Sutta of Madhyam Nikaya, we are having that there are 7 stages of or 7 kinds of the, you can say, removing the asavas. The first is called as Dasan Pahatabba Asava. So, Dasan Pahatabba Asava, that asavas may be removed by the vision, by the Sotapatti, in which there are 3, Sakkaya-ditthi, Vicikiccha and Silvat Paramas. So, here Sakkaya-ditthi is nothing but the wrong notions related with the, there is a permanent entity in the personality of a being. So, this type of wrong notions may be removed by the vision or you can say Sotapatti. So, here in the Lokuttara stage we are having the 4 magga, 4 phala. Again the 4 magga, Sotapatti magga, Sotapatti phala, sorry, Sagdagami magga, Anagami magga and Arhat magga and 4 phala. These are the process for removing the doubts. So, how these wrong notions that there is a permanent entity in the personality of a human being or a being may be removed through the process. In the Rath Viniti Sutta of Madhyam Nikaya, we are having that there are 7 stages of purification for the wrong views, micchaditthi. There are, first of all, Seal Visuddhi, Chit Visuddhi, Ditthi Visuddhi, Kankha Vitarana Visuddhi, Magga Magga Dasan Visuddhi, Yana Dasan Visuddhi, Yan Visuddhi. So, these are the 7 types of purifications which have been given for removing the wrong notions related with the, you can say, I-ness or At. Again, in Visuddhi Magga, Acharya Buddha Ghosh in the Panya Bhuvi Nidesh, 14th chapter of Visuddhi Magga, he has discussed all, you can say, 7 stages of purifications in a very detailed manner, and how Sil Visuddhi and Chit Visuddhi, they are becoming the roots of the, you can say, our development of the Panya. So, here there is a concept of insight tree, and all these panchkhandhas, dwadas ayatana or 18 elements, they become the base of the, you can say, our stages of purifications. And here Sil Visuddhi becomes, you can say, the root of all these things, and under the Sil Visuddhi there is a purification of the Patimukha Sambar Sil, Indriya Sambar Sil, Ajiva Parisuddhi Sil, and Pache Sanisita Sil. So these are the 4 stages through which a person can remove the seal. And in the second stage, Chit Visuddhi is the name of the purifications through the Rup Samadhi and the Arup Samadhi. In the Arup Samadhi and Rup Samadhi and Arup Samadhi, there is another name, Apanna Samadhi and Upachar Samadhi. Through this, a Yogavachar makes himself prepared for the, you can say, another 5 stages. And here a Yogavachar or a person feels himself tranquil or calm, something like that. So here there are the 5 stages which are being removed by the, you can say, a person who is involved in the Attaditti or you can say Michhaditti or Sasaditti. So here there are 5, you can say, Ditti Visuddhi. In a very brief manner I will say. In the Ditti Visuddhi, here Ditti we are also the same false views, purifications. Here a Yogavachar, there is a concept of Puggala. Here he finds that there is a concept of Puggala or Sat or Jiva in the personality of a human being, and then depending on each other, here Acharya Buddha Ghosh has given a simile that depending each upon each other, the boat and the men go on the sea, and so do mind and matter both depend the one upon the another. So here the next stage is called as Kankha Vitaran Visuddhi. Here Kankha is a sansay, or you can say the doubts, mainly the doubts related with the sansay, Buddha, Dham and Sangha. But other precepts like here, that a person, everything comes into existence depending on some cause and conditions. There is nothing like existence which is without cause. So through this Kankha Vitarana Visuddhi, a person finds himself, and then the reality may be understood that everything comes from the action, and from the result has the kamma for its source, future becoming springs from the kamma. So here kamma batanti loko, like that, this type of verses have been given. Now the next Magga Amagga Yana Dasan Visuddhi, in that a Yogavachar, here a person finds that 3 types of, you can say, marking, that is the Sabbe Sankhara Anicca, Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha and Sabbe Dhamma Anatta. These 3 types of, you can say, nature of reality are being known by the, you can say, a Yogavachar or the persons. And then after that there are 9, you can say, there are 9, this is the Obhas Piti Pasaddhi Adhimukh Paggaho Sukh Yan Upattan Upekha Nikanti are being realized, and he a Yogavachar is supposed not to get delighted with these 9 types of, you can say. Then next comes the Patipada Yana Dasan Visuddhi. Here Patipada is the nothing but the path or the way for getting a state of eternal bliss, and through that a person know the 9 types of knowledge and contemplating in the background of the nature of things. The insight becomes sufficiently strong, and these are the 9 Udvay Vayan, Bhangayan, Bhayan, Adi Navayan, Nibidayan, Munchetu Kamayatayan, Patisankhayan, Sankhar Upekha Anulomayan. And lastly, this is the Yana Dasan Visuddhi. Through there are 4 stages, Padikam, Upachar, Anulom and Gotru Bhu. These through stages a person comes, or Yogavachar comes a stages of the Arya, that is the noble one. And realizing so, he passes through the path of the and for Mag and for Phule stages, gradually attains the 4 stages of sainthood and realize Nibbana. Lastly, I am coming to the conclusion that according to the Buddha, Atma is the root of all the problems. The belief in the eternal self is the responsible for generating desires, tanha or michhaditi, false views. It is one of the wrong perceptions, vipalasa, about the nature of the world and grasping conceit, man, seyo ham asmiti mano, and the false views, that is the michhaditi or upadan, that here it is attavad upadan, and it is the attavad or the sasatvad which leads an ordinary person to the extremes of either kamesu kam sukhilkanuyogo and atkilmathanuyogo, that is the self-indulgence or self-mortification. Thus, from the foregoing accounts, it may be presumed that the Buddha used the theory of law of dependent origination to justify the concept of Anatta, that is the no soul. In its place, the Buddha established consciousness and proved that it is two causally conditions. Thank you very much. Any questions?